in, let it set, watch it. So over the course of a day and a half, you know, they were able to lift to the satisfactory level to do away with the trip hazards. And they really didn't have to grind at all. And if they had to grind, we would have had to patch the paint, you know. So we did save some money in that regard. The fact that it was successful and had better results than they anticipated, or at least explained to us. I don't know whether they were preparing me for the worst, but it turned out that the expectations were met and exceeded. So we were happy about that. So they are going to re-inspect in July, see if there's any movement, or they'll come back if we see movement prior to that and we need to call them back, or if there's something obvious or really dangerous, they will address that. And they also offered to give an estimate for River Shores sidewalks that are uneven that they noticed while they were en route to doing the work at the pool. So that's something for you River Shores people might want to consider for some of your sidewalks, perhaps. Anyways, food for thought. All right, so that's
just one. You had talked about. You said they're going to re-inspect in July. Wasn't there something about them coming back on a regular basis?
Yeah, they agreed to come back quarterly. And initially, they suggested come back in the fall before we painted, you know, if they had to grind. So it moved from coming back in the fall or sooner if there was an obvious, you know, sinking reoccurrence, or, you know, just let us see it again before you decide to patch up whatever paint. But they didn't need to grind, and we don't need to paint. So we will just go with the fact that, you know, they'll come back in July. They offered that, you know, every 3 or 4 months to come back and see how we're doing, check in, fine and dandy, at no charge. It's a 5-year guarantee on the work. So if it sinks at all in the next 5 years, they come back free of charge to correct whatever, okay? So that was a good thing, and that was a big plus in deciding to go with them. We did entertain another offer, but they didn't want to do half the stuff we wanted them to do. So it was a lower in price, but didn't do half the thing, so it makes sense. It was lower in price because they didn't want to do what was required. Any other?
Well, what about those couple of spots that I saw?
Yeah, when they come back in July, I did notice some. There are some spots that weren't on the contract, so they did what they were contracted to do. But there's a spot that was noticed after the fact and after they left that it's a little wider. It's not a trip hazard. It's just like, you know, it's probably about 1 inch wide, and it's still sealed. But you can see that the seal is, you know, it's drying out. So they probably need, you know, at a later point in time to come back and just see if it's sealed enough to not cause any damage. Because part of the sinking problem was that there were holes drilled, I don't know whether it was for drainage or what, in the concrete patio that probably attributed some of the water was getting underneath, and the ground is probably sand, and, you know, caused some of the shifting. So that was that. Anything else? No. Good point. Okay. Number 5. Yes, Frank? Chime in. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when we were talking to them,
Yeah.
they were saying that they were giving us a 5-year warranty.
Right.
And the thing was is that we came up with was that we have a 10-year warranty on the work we did on the pool. So when they come back after the 5 years, they can redo that after the inspection, if anything else needs to be done, and extend the warranty for another 5 years. So that would give us both, the pool and the deck, 10-year warranty on that.
Right. That's correct. Yeah. In fact, I think.
Yeah. Because remember when we were talking to him, I asked him. I said, "Well, how much is going to be the extension?" And he said we discuss it at that time when we do that.
Which I think they would discuss it at the 4-year mark, and I don't know how much time they would have us decide to extend that, but that's 4 years down the road. A lot can happen in 4 years.
I know, I'm just saying.
All right. Okay. Number 5. On the agenda, it says to cancel all reimbursements to River Shores for dumpster pickups, based on the fact that on December 1st, it was voted by the board to special assess Middle River Club to reimburse River Shores for extra dumpster pickups related to the removal of the bulk trash area. And it was made clear that, you know, dumpster trash is not bulk trash, even though they happened about the same time. But nevertheless, I think today I make a motion to table that discussion, and I'll explain why I say table it. Because on the financial report for last year for Middle River Club 2023, there is an accounting for that special assessment in receivables and prepaid expenses. But since then, I don't see yet, and probably won't see, any transfer of that kind of money or monies related to that size of a special assessment. It doesn't mean that there hasn't been monies transferred, it's just not where it's obvious, and it may not even be. So it may be something that is on the books, but not actually transpired, okay? So it might be just an accounting thing for now, and I think it's gonna take time for them, River Shores, I'm pointing to Helen, but once they get their management company and they get to see what all is involved there, and once we merge the first quarter financials with the second quarter financials for Middle River Club, we'll just have more information. So I think at this point in time, it does not make a difference whether we decide something today or not, and that's my opinion. So I make a motion to table. Do I have a second?
I'm not of the mind to table it. I think it was in the minutes that, you know, the board voted, it was 3 against 2, that there would be a special assessment, and whether there was money removed or not, it's still on the books that that assessment is due. So I make a motion to cancel that, so it comes off the books as being an assessment towards all 3 associations.
Does Bruce have a second?
I'll second that.
Frank seconds the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
So
Aye.
I'd have to think about
That's okay, you can
it.
abstain.
Abstain.
Helen abstains. So the motion is passed to cancel all reimbursements to River Shores for dumpster pickups. Each building pays separately for trash removal.
And as Craig said, this is not saying that any money at all was transferred, it's just to come off
The books.
Come off the books as an assessment owed to River Shores.
Right.
So it looks like it'll just be an accounting correction at this point. I know it's complicated for some, I mean, there is a little bit of an unraveling of information, because for so long I haven't had information, we haven't had information available to us, so we've pretty much had to dig and open drawers and sift through files and gather information as much as we can in this short period of time. So this is what I can offer to you today, okay? So this is where we stand today. So I make a motion, in fact, related to that, is that we make a motion, or I make a motion to put this bulk trash issue to bed, and it's such that it is not available. Bulk trash is not available to the community. The solution is to call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or find some other way to dispose of your bulk items. The trash issue, I realize, for some of the buildings has been an extra challenge. But a couple of the buildings have met the challenge by offering suggestions to the residents for alternatives to disposing of their bulk items that are larger, or they're not supposed to go in a traditional household dumpster. Okay, so I make a motion to.
I would just like to add that each building took on an extra day of trash. I mean, River Bend, River Terrace, even River Shores added extra trash days after we got rid of bulk trash. I can't speak for River Terrace or River Shores, but it has not been a problem for River Bend.
Also, it was about the same time that the recycling bins were sealed up because people were putting other stuff in the recycling bins, and of course that added to more household trash being put in the traditional dumpsters. So that's a fact. That was a factor, and it happened about 2 weeks apart. So it was basically around the same time. So it was a combination of things. But I just want to make it clear that there is no bulk trash on the property, and people have to find their own individual way to get rid of large items that are not appropriate for household dumpster pickup. Do I have a second? Yes.
No, we're not taking questions.
No questions.
We'll take questions at the end.
Okay.
Thanks.
Frank seconds the motion. Do I have a?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. So we're done with talking about bulk trash, okay? That's done.
Done? Done.
Underline exclamation point.
Thank you. And certainly at some point in the future, who knows?
Okay, let's move on to number 6. We don't have to belabor the issue since it's settled, okay? Number 6, you know, when this was written 2 weeks ago, the agenda, I didn't know as much as I know 2 weeks later, okay? So in the process between that, I've been looking for that, you know, credit or, you know, whatever to River Shores or any kind of substantial movement of money from December 1st to April 1st. And the only movement of money I could tell, but I sort of understand it, but it's a little convoluted, is the fact that on March 29th, the checking account had $8,500 in it, okay? And then when we went to the bank to open a new account, it had 0 and the overdraft was used for 7. So somewhere between March 29th and April 12th, $7,296 was withdrawn. And apparently it was to pay for the invoices for January, February, and March for River Shores reimbursements. Now I have the statement, but I don't have any invoices that spell out how we get to $2,000 a month worth of reimbursements to River Shores. So, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, $2,000 a month is about the range for a long time that River Shores has been reimbursed by Middle River Club for various things. And I know some of the various things, but some of those variables have changed now that there's, you know, I'm doing work here and using the office, having a temporary office over here in the corner and using, you know, so there's different things that need to be adjusted. But nevertheless, I looked at the statement, I'm like, wow, October 31st, there was a payment of $12,357. And I'm guessing that was, because I don't have the previous page, probably 6 months worth of reimbursements, I'm guessing, because you know, 6 times about 2,000 would be about 12,000. So apparently, I mean, it looks like the treasurer, previous treasurer, was not reimbursing River Shores on any particular regular basis. It was just when it seemed to work out, whether because there's enough money in the bank or other. I mean, I get a little bit of that can wait, but apparently March 29th or whatever was decided to just, you know, get rid of that and, you know, let the new board start from scratch, basically. So that's what we're doing. So that's, we would have had probably, you know, an extra $7,000 in there if we had waited till October, you know, to pay, like last October was paid, but it didn't go that way. So, you know, just it's a cash flow thing, basically. So, I would like to make a motion to suspend some of the reimbursements until the end of June, until we just know more. Doesn't mean we won't reimburse, or doesn't mean, it just, I don't know if the amount's gonna change, I don't know. We have to talk about it. So I think for the time being, since it looks like there was a time where 6 months passed and Middle River Club did not reimburse River Shores, that we probably could have until October to figure this out based on past practice. You see what I'm saying? In other words, between now and then, we can figure out how much to reimburse River Shores for the various, and you know, items. It might be, I would guess it would be at least $700 less than it had been, because, you know, we were charged $700 a month for rent for the office at River Shores, which we no longer really need, other than to program Bob's and put your name in the directory. So that should be a $700 a month savings right there. So that's my motion. I make a motion to suspend reimbursements at least until June 30th. Do I have a second?
Now you have a list of reimbursements?
It would be on an invoice that would be related to the statement. See, there's different.
Yeah, I know, I see it.
But I don't have any of those, the breakdown. I don't have the breakdown. I just go on by the budget items, that there seems to be some, you know, estimates, but I don't have actual numbers. So we'll figure
Wouldn't
it out.
it make sense then to not do anything at this moment until you have more information?
So you think we should table it, perhaps?
Until we can
Until you
figure out
have a
more.
list of, you know, what exactly.
I don't want to vote on something that we don't have the information on.
Okay, all right.
So I'd like to table that for now.
Make a motion to table that?
I'll make a motion to table for now.
And Helen seconds it.
Yeah.
Frank, do you want to table that idea?
Yeah, I want to table that because down the road here, we'll have more information on that. It's
Sure.
just what it is.
Okay. So I think it's unanimous. We're going to table that. And just number 7 is just more of a clerical thing. It was discussed April 11th that the mail, and this is the postmaster's recommendation, that the mail be forwarded, not changed. That the address is not changed. The address is forwarded to the River Terrace office mailbox 528. There's a separate mailbox that says office on it that I have access to, and anybody else on the board can have access to. And that's until October 11th. This is until we figure out stuff, okay? So that I get the mail, and it's already started being forwarded to that address. But this is part of the, let me take a sip. A little bit of the dilemma. Now, in as much as, you know, the documents, the original condo documents say that the Middle River Club should be run independently. That's kind of good in theory.